is a presentation of the iRacing Esports Network.
In the GTP class, it's the Americans and the Finns squabbling for scraps while the Swiss streak away. And in the GTO class, it's the revolution all over again with the US versus the UK. But taking things to neutral ground, our drivers will have to fight it out in the hills of Italy. There could still be a shakeup in the points as they all try to weave their way through the tricky chicanes of Imola. Everyone will have to keep their guard up as we get ready to watch round 10 of the iRacing Kamel GT series, and you'll see it all live here on the global SimRacing channel and the iRacing Esports Network. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Sean Ambrose. Behind the scenes is our director, the Dr. Amjad Yaman, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Sean, with your Italian blood, I imagine it feels pretty good to be back here.
Yes, Joe. It's always good to be back in Italia. Here at Autodromo Internazionale Enzo Edino Ferrari. Yes, Joe, we are here in that small little town called Imola, right here in Italy. And yes, sir, it's just about 50 miles east of that Ferrari factory just down the road. Little place they call Maranello. Actually is a little place, but certainly huge. In the eyes of the world, we talk Ferrari, we talk Formula One. Today we talk Kamel GT. Of course, this being Ferrari's home circuit, Ferrari didn't field a Kamel GT car, but you know what? This track been around for a long time. They built it in the mid-50s, 53 to be exact. It took about 20 years before they really made any kind of safety modifications. In the early days, this was a terrifying track to get around. Listen, look for overtaking today in the famous chicanes of Tamburello. Rivazza is a really good place, not a chicane, but a right-hander. Goes a little bit downhill, sharp to the right. Watch that, definitely. I'm sorry, the Rivazza's to the left. My bad. Brave men can pass at Tosa. We'll see. 17 corners, though, Joe, and a lot to deal with here on this track. The best way to get an idea of what it's like here under these beautiful daytime skies is to hop on board for another GSRC lap around Imola.
All right, we're in the GSRC Audi, so let's do a lap around Imola. Coming down to Tamburello, this is easily one of your best places for a pass, but watch out for the kink in the braking zone because it makes it easy to dip a wheel into the grass. Through this chicane, try to hug the inside at the second apex. That'll set you up for a better run out of the final apex, which should hopefully make it harder for your opponent to go onto the attack into Villeneuve. This second chicane is a bit weird because it has a fast entry with a much tighter second apex. It tends to lure you into attacking it harder than you should. Quickly, get the car across the track and then brake for Tosa. This is a pretty typical hairpin. Square off the apex for a better launch and more speed up the steep climb to Piratella. You will have to kind of swing it into the line over the crest here though. And be ready to turn in earlier than you'd expect because this left hand almost always causes understeer in every car I've ever driven here. Now we dip into the valley that is Acqua Minerale. The trickiest aspect of this two-part bend is that you're slowing as you're turning through the first part and then getting even harder on the brakes to get it wound up completely for that second apex. Try not to track out too far on the exit because you can get a cut course penalty for doing so. Now comes Alta, which presents another chance at an overtake. But try not to go through this chicane too wide because it's very narrow and you'll find it easy to get tangled up with the other car. You'll finally get a short breather as we fall back downhill towards Rivazza. Just like Piratella, you've got to come from across the track to help line up your braking a little bit better. Watch out for the drop in elevation because it makes it easy to overshoot the first half and send yourself into the gravel. You get a small squirt of the gas, and then you've got to do your best to get a nice run out of the final corner. The front stretch is the longest acceleration zone of the track, so your momentum will be critical to keeping yourself safe from your opponents. But hopefully, you've now finished a lap around Imola.
They see a lap up and down the hills here in Imola. Let's go up and down the points standings, starting with the GTP class. This is the prototypes, and it is looking like the Swiss driver of Fabian Gerber has really got in his pocket, unless he has some bad races at the end. Ardo Iamaki climbing forward, though. Look at that, up 2 spots into second. Relatively close fight for that second place between himself, Justin Albrecht, and Mike Houghton. Timu Toika a little ways down. Hasn't been his best season, although he's had good results here and there. Of course, we have a GTP Lights category. This is sort of an amateur championship that they hold so that everybody has something to fight for. Martin Krejcik leading up at the top of that. The reason they have half points, of course, is because they've had some splits, and that's how they scored them here in this series. Johnny Bell, of course, a long ways back, and really more concerned with Matthias Guldager, who he's been fighting with all season long. Then Kopak and Peterson round out the top 5 there in the prototypes. We also have the Audis, which is the GTO category. Sean, what's that look like?
Yes, Joe, my favorite category, the GTO category. Well, you know what? Phil in and around the lake has had a big season, Joe, and well, that's why he's sitting up top there. Now with 157 points, his teammate Jamie Hall, 22 points behind, tied now with Riley Thompson, who we've talked about all season. Has been strong, has had some really, really good success. He's been strong as of late, and that's what we didn't see from him last season. So things going really well for Riley right now. Now, Nick Bucanos, he's up a little bit here in the points, 37 points out. Ove Trengerade hanging out in the top 5 now. So happy to see the Norwegian back with us. That we've looked at the GTO standings here. Let's go to the next ones here. This is the GTU. This is the junior category of the Audis, and Milan Arnolzi still hanging on to that lead, just barely though, because this will be a home track for Andrea Albertinelli today, only 2.5 points back. This could be a big day for him in this GTU Points Championship. Hideki Koivito coming up the board. A little bit of success there last week. Now in the 3rd, Matthew Jete is now in 4th, coming up 2 spots. And Thomas Delmuth, unfortunately, was the big loser than that. But look at that. He's only 1.5 points behind Jete. So good battle coming down here in the GTU standings with just a few rounds left to go, Joe.
Yeah, we like it when things stay exciting, and they rarely aren't exciting here in Kamel GT. In fact, why don't we show you how they stay exciting? It's with the formula that they've figured out. It's a little bit different today, as we mentioned, round 10 of 12. However, it is not a sprint race today, 60 minutes. That means you can see they have 1 scheduled stop for fuel that both classes will have to make. The cars are still open setup, and so they will be able to tweak it to their liking. Very important to get the cars driving how each driver prefers, because it's much more preference thing here in this class rather than speed. There you see the scoring down below, and that is scored in these broadcast races only, how they do that, which we showed you before there in the standings. So with that, of course, as always, we like to encourage you to subscribe to the iRacing Esports Network, where they have this bit of vintage racing, and even more than that, Lotus 49s are on here as well, which we had earlier today. They've also got lots of official series, including during the summertime, they tend to have the World Championships. They're on a little bit of a break right now, but we have lots of action here brought to you by the iRacing Esports Network. Please subscribe if you want to see more of this. We're in qualifying right now. We've got a few names that have already finished up. One that hasn't been around for a while, but has come back and is currently sitting on the front row for the Nissans, the GTPs, is Carl Jansen, a known fast driver, Sean.
Yes, and 24-hour iRacing 24-hour Daytona winner as well, if anybody remembers that. But yeah, Carl, happy to see the Scandinavian with us today, man. He's a quick one, but Ardo Iamaki has the edge right now, actually, on him.
Yep, just by a bit. We'll see whether or not that stays in place during the race, because it's a lot different trying to deal with the traffic. This is Matt Malone sitting in 17th. He's on his 2nd lap. And one thing I was noticing, looks like it's a slow one, actually, though. He might have had an error. Sean, one thing that I kind of caught as I was watching cars stream across the line on that first lap, this track kind of known for being tough to avoid the off tracks, which will disqualify your qualifying lap. We could have a really shaken up grid.
You know what, Joe? Yeah, we can. You know, Tamburello can get very tricky. It's easy to get off track there. The very first left-hander there, you take that wrong or get in way too hot. It's very easy to get off track there at the end of your lap. How frustrating is that? Villeneuve, another spot. You know, as you're getting your lap started, you get down there. It's really difficult to hit that with speed, and obviously on a hot lap, you're trying to carry as much speed as you can. So very, very easy to upset the car through there. Very, very easy to pick up an off track. So, yeah, Joe, that very well could be a challenge to a lot of these drivers today.
Well, it's all different kinds of challenges, but first let's get through the challenge of pronouncing all these names and read you the grid, because qualifying is over. All the drivers have set their laps. Ardo Iamaki is on the pole with Carl Janssen outside him, as we mentioned earlier. Justin Albrecht starts in third with Antti Lepisto in fourth. Then you've got Fabian Gerber starting in P5 on row 3. Rob Olnick will be flanking him. Michael Houghton starts in 7th with Luis Emerton in 8th and Tobias Gerber 9th. Top 10 are rounded out by Martin Krejcik. Then you've got row 6. James King will be there in 11th with Fabian Jungbluth in 12th and Pablo Suarez in 13th. John Keefe, a little far down in qualifying today. He's starting 14th with Clayton McLeod behind him in 15th and Hideki Koivisto 16th. Matt Malone starts P17, and we had one driver in the GTPs that did not get a time in. That is Michael Thomas, who will start 18th in class. Sean?
Joe, look at that. Villi Ruola with another pole. There will start first. Jamie Hall right alongside him. Great qualifying effort for Jamie. Riley Thompson with another strong start to a race here, starting in third. Ove Trengerade fourth. Phil in and around the lake going to start fifth today here at Imola. Milano Nossi sixth. Seventh going to Andrea Albertinelli. Nick Bucanos is going to start eighth today. Giorgio Buscemi is starting ninth. Matthew Jete 10th, 11th goes to Franco Scurry, another Italian here in his home turf. Dennis Neidhart, the Anvil, starting 12th. Kirill Kolobuzov is starting 13th today. Reed Miller, the Canadian, we just saw him get out of the Formula One car earlier on batteries not included. Now he's with us here in his Audi, starting 14th. 15th, Carlos Fonseca. Cedric Paul will start 16th, 17th for Thomas Delmuth. Fabrizio Raffa, the Italians are coming out today. He is starting 18th, and Caradine Buafia fills out this field in 19th, Joe.
I mean, no surprise that the Italians have come out for this track. We tend to see that on both the Italian tracks here in iRacing, Monza being the other one. Already you can see the roof pace car has peeled away. Thankfully, we only have half a pace lap here. So very quickly, we'll get to this 60 minutes of racing that we love to see here in the Kamel GT series. Again, a little bit longer than what you might be used to. So we'll see if that helps any of the franticness. I suspect and would be willing to bet money that it will not. These guys tend to see a lot of action during the races, no matter what. So out of Ravazza, the prototypes have come. Pace car peels in immediately. Iamaki gets on the gas, doesn't even wait for the green flag, which waves now as they cross the line. Round 10 has started here in the Kamel GT series. Carl Janssen slots into second, but it's a battle for third. Justin Albrecht trying to outbrake Antti Lepisto down into Tamburello as everybody accordions together and tries to get it sorted out through the very tricky first chicane. It looks good. Let's go to the Audis.
Oh boy, here we go. Tamburello for the first time, side by side. Back there for fourth, it's Phil Lake and Ove Trengrade. They make it through. And now things starting to go single file as they make their way down to Villeneuve.
That looks very orderly.
Contact back there in fifth.
And action in both classes happening at once. You can see that was Arnozzi, I believe, going off in the purple machine. Gathers it back together and gets it going once again. Didn't quite catch who was involved in the GTP incident.
All right, Joe.
That's okay. Yeah, Ove obviously involved also in the the GTOs there, but it was at the back of the GTPs. Looks like everybody's able to get going in both classes, so no harm, no foul. It's only on the first lap we're already seeing a little bit of franticness. But up at the front, even though Yamaki got a great jump, Carl Jansen is certainly not letting him get away with it. There you can see the yellow car of Albrecht starting to lose ground on these two. With the first lap completed, it's a 2-car breakaway. Going towards Tamburello one more time. Yamaki staying defensive, already an attack from Jansen, but he backs out of it. And they get back single file once again.
Joe, we've split off into 2 groups as the Audis have completed their first lap now. You've got the top 4, well, really top 3 have really started to break away now, kind of leaving Phil Lake behind in the dust here. But then you've got a second group led by Giorgio Buscemi. He's got Jete, Arnozzi, Trengrade, Mucanos, Albertinelli just got around Neidhart. All just a crazy pack of cars here, still grouped very tightly together.
Yeah, it looks difficult to get away from each other, although Buscemi had a nice run to try and get him some breathing room as they work their way through Villeneuve. Jete coming up to Tosa now. Can sometimes see sneak attacks into this hairpin, but they're all going to stay in line and focus on getting the exit up the steep hill to Piratella. A little bit of a look to the inside from Arnozzi. Sticks his nose in, but he can't quite execute. Very brave stuff. Obviously, he's looking like he's being held up slightly.
He definitely wants by. He definitely wants by, Joe. Question is, where's going to be a great place to do that? And he's going to get his chance here in just a moment.
Now, this track known for being a little bit tough to get by people. They come out of Alta, head back downhill into Ravazza. You could see Ardo Yamaki just set the fastest lap of the race. So trying his best to get away from Johansson as we watch our leaders, the Audis, come back onto the front stretch once again. That is Ruola and the yellow machine still leading Jamie Hall, but for how much longer? Because Hall got a good run, and I think he's going to take a look, but he's going to have to go around the outside, Sean.
See, he's going to back at him. No, he's not going to back at it. He's going to keep it in there, and he presents it, Joe, and he gets it through. Wow. What a move there by Jamie Hall. Jamie Hall.
Brave stuff by the UK&I driver, gets himself into the lead, and that side-by-side action means that Riley Thompson and Phil Lake have gained a little bit of ground, so we're seeing something of a 4-car battle start to form here for the top spot in the GTOs. Let's see if Rolla maybe tries to come back at him with a run out of Tosa. Looks like that is not meant to be, just doesn't get the power down soon enough.
Joe Arnozzi just picked up 2. He got 2 for 1. Got around Jete and Ove Trengarade. Woo, Arnozzi up to 6th.
Let's take a look at the replay of that one. This is Milan's view as they work their way into Villeneuve. I said you can sometimes see those sneak attacks happen. Well, sets himself up, thinks he's got something, sends it in deep, given space, and look at that.
Boom.
Meanwhile, up in the lead for the prototypes, Jansen's not been able to overtake Yamaki quite yet, and though they started to gap Albrecht at the start of the race, they have not put much more on Justin. Up Natosa for these two. Look how close Carl keeps getting with that number 1 on his car. That certainly is intimidating in itself. He is the highest rated driver in this whole group, and that is out of both classes. Meanwhile, got side-by-side action between Houghton and Olenek back in 6. Wow, and they hold it side-by-side through Piratella. Look at that. Finally, it looks like Houghton's going to come out ahead of the 2 as they hit Aqua Minerale, and all this fighting has meant that Luis Emerton is starting to rock up to the back of them. Just a little note, let's stay on this action. Matt Malone has got himself up to 14th recently. There you see the Grip TV driver coming through Alta, heading back downhill once more. So it's not only him, though, making moves. Sounds like we've got a mover over in the GTO class as well, Sean.
Remember the last name I read out on the grid? Caradine Bawafia? Yeah, you know that guy? Very fast driver, week in, week out. Well, he's picked up a bunch already, Joe. In fact, already on the attack of Reed Miller here, trying to get himself into the top 10. Reed Miller has got all he can handle right now in his mirror as they make their way down into Alta here. And Bawafia on the attack, looking for a good exit here. Could maybe get something done down in Ravazza.
He's awful close, but not sure that he's close enough as they hit the braking.
Oh, trouble just
they got a big incident.
Joe.
Yeah, that's our nosy. Who else is out off the track?
That was Ove Grade and Buscemi, yes.
How did that one start? Oh, it looks like our nosy outbraked himself a little bit, tried to stick his nose in.
Yeah, and Ove just made an evasive move behind him, but yeah, Arnozzi just getting it in too deep, man.
I'm going to see it here. I can't tell if this is an intentional move or if he just kind of realized late, you know, and tried to get away from something happening.
I think it was
the lightest of touches.
I think it was an man. Honestly, I think he just got it too deep and realized, oh no, I'm, you know, just a little late on the braking point there, obviously.
You can see how early they brake with the brake lights of Giorgio's going on before they even get to the kink. Double little tap before they get it straightened out as we come back live, and that action's still going on. And, well, there's Bawafia again. He's managed to get past that car he was working on, and now he is on the back of Arnozzi and Buscemi.
Yeah, man, Bawafia's got great pace here. I mean, I'm not shocked, Joe, to be honest. But
we knew that,
yeah. I mean, we know he's fast, but he's had a lot of traffic to work through here, and now he's got Arnozzi. Obviously, is still battling hard in front of him, trying to recover from that mistake. But what's really happening is that the top four have really started to run away from all of this, Joe, as Arnozzi continues to fight there on the outside. Oh, Bawafia getting a little bit held up there by Buscemi.
Yeah, Gregorio picked the inside, and so did Bawafia, and that was the wrong side. But he gets a good run coming off of Ravazza. In fact, he's got better momentum as they head down the front stretch. And even though Milan is getting away, I'm sure Caradine will be able to chase him down. He looks like he's about to make short work of Gregorio. Indeed, he does. Now Buscemi has to go on the defense because here's Dennis Neidhart. The anvil gives him a little bit of a hit, and then they continue on. Just a slight hip check, but no harm, no foul. Frantic action here in the mid-pack of the GTO class, that is for sure.
Frantic action at the front, frantic action in the middle, frantic action in the back. Yeah, the GTOs are fighting hard today, Joe.
And this is the lead that we're watching right now. You could see that was a very close fight down into Tamburello between Janssen and Iamaki, but still Carl isn't able to get it done. Seems like the Scandinavian has pace, but really not any good opportunities. Now, we haven't really seen them get to the GTOs yet, but that is about to happen very, very soon. In fact, they're coming up to them right now. Thomas Delmuth, Franco Scurry, and Cedric Poyle, the first of them. And sounds like Emerton had a bit of an incident. Ooh, he hit the wall coming out of Tosa. Just a single car incident.
Boy, he hit it hard, and you know what? Our directors pulled up the replay. Thank you. Boy, he's just going to break loose here, Joe. I think he's going to get a little bit of the curb here on the exit, a little bit of that turf, a little bit of that, what do they call, kitty litter, or whatever you want to call that stuff. He gets a little bit of it, and that gets him around, makes slight contact with the car there, dings up the right front a bit.
It's Easter basket filling, right? Fake
that
grass,
stuff,
yeah.
right? Yes, yes. Green plastic grass, yes.
Meanwhile, back up to the lead. Ardo Yamaki got himself a good run off Ravata. That'll keep him a lot safer this time up into Tamburello. Carl certainly not attacking as we hop on board the 007 cam, looking back from the Finns' perspective. We're going to go into Villeneuve here, and they've got a little more traffic up ahead. This is Carlos Fonseca. Then they're going to get into even thicker of the GTO traffic here in a moment. There's some cars battling for position up ahead. That is going to be a little more hairy than before. One gets through. Does two get through? Yep, Carl's not willing to sit around. He's trying to keep touch with the leader. Gets held up slightly, and that gap has finally extended to about a second. That's the most we've seen between the top two in the GTP almost all race long.
You got Lake and Hall battling now, Joe. Sorry, buddy. In fact, Phil just gets around Jamie. Just pulled off that pass a moment ago.
And
Villarola back to the front. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's take a look at the replay. That must have been a little bit earlier for Rolla. This is the incident between Lake and Hall. Oh.
Yeah, this is the Rolla pass right here. Yes, and it happened right across the start-finish line, Joe. And he starts to make that move down to the inside. Villy goes.
See, this kept going, this battle. As soon as one car passes another, it looks like it's almost a chain reaction. An opportunity presents itself all the way down the line. Wow, look at the hard defense. Hall was not interested in giving that up easily. Pass happens in Alta, a little bit down the road. So sets this up in just a couple corners. They're coming up to Aqua Minerale, so it'll happen shortly after this. See, he was working on it for a while, and well, Phil Lake got denied once, and he's not going to be denied a second time. This time, though, he got a little bit of help because Jamie Hall going wide at Alta just compromises him too much to recover.
Yeah, I think Jamie let him go right there. We got to be careful because Riley Thompson was right there, man, and you don't want to give Riley too much of an advantage. But the top four continue to kind of hold together here, Joe.
Yeah, not able to get away from one another. That is for sure. They're going to get some company soon. Yamaki's right now just behind Buafia. Make that ahead of Buafia. He gets by so quickly and slipping by Arnozzi. There you see a whole bunch of cars that they're having to work through. They're going to have more pace on the straight line than the likes of these cars ahead. That includes Trangarade and Mukanos, who actually might be going side by side here in a second. Oh, this is going to get a little bit interesting. Trankarade's going to be able to make the move just as the leaders catch them, trying to tiptoe their way past Mukanos. Oh, and almost contact between Yamaki and Jansen in the process.
And Mukanos got to be careful, man. He rode right over those sausage curbs. You never know if that'll do a little damage on the front. And boy, what a great job by Ove Trangarade there, getting out of the way, going through Villeneuve.
Great job by everybody to keep that from going worse than it could. But man, just sniffing underneath the gearbox of Yamaki. Jansen not giving up. I almost wonder if it's a matter of time. It seems like he's more just simply waiting for a safe chance than he is being outpaced by Yamaki. Out of Aqua Minerale up towards Alta. Top four are just half a lap away from them with the pace that they're going. See how much they have to tiptoe their way through these chicanes. These Nissans known, Sean, for not liking any of those tall curves. Well, actually, honestly, any curves at all.
Yeah, well, yeah, any curves present a problem, but man, those awesome curves. Oh, Albertinelli with trouble?
In Alta. This happened with Arnozzi coming up behind him. There was traffic in front of him.
Yeah, he got a little help there, I think. Boy, and Caradine Buafia just gets through this. That's the black and yellow car right there, just squirting through. Oh, poor Albertinelli.
Yeah, get an onboard Akiridine. You talk about a little bit of luck. Sometimes you need that in racing. Had no way of knowing this was going to happen. And just, there's a car suddenly.
Joe, that rockets him up to 7th. 7th, wow. Joe. He was the last car in the field.
Just incredible. So I would put it past him to get a top 5, maybe even a podium potentially. Depends on what kind of pace he has compared to the leaders. We'll check that in a little bit. Right now, the leaders, though, have the likes of Yamaki and Janssen. Whoa, and Yamaki almost loses it. He gathers it together. I think he caught a little bit of the wall, but the damage is done in terms of track position because Janssen is by. They're still trying to work their way past this traffic. Let's go on board, see how hard Yamaki hit. See, he was coming up to them, and Puritella here tries to get the power down, but the tires don't agree, especially on the AstroTurf like that. Just a little scrape. I think he got lucky there.
He did, Joe. He did. Just a little scrape, like you said, is good fortune for him. He will live to fight another day. But you know what? Catching Janssen is one thing. Getting around him is totally another. So I wish him luck. This is going to be tough now. He's going to have to fight and work hard here.
Janssen himself got held up by the traffic in Alta. Actually, I think he also made slight contact with some of the GTO cars. Now they've hit the leader. It's Villirola, who mercifully has a gap between himself and second place in that GTO class, so he's easily able to pull aside and let them through.
Oh boy, this is going to be a good fight, Joe. It's going to be a hard one to leave, to be honest with you.
Oh, Ove Trangere just had a big problem, and this was in Tamburello.
Not good. Not good for Ove today.
I think he made a pass and then found himself bounding over the big curbs. You're going to see at the end of this pit straight. No, he didn't make a pass. He was ahead of them at the time.
Yeah, he was, and he got in. He missed his entry, and that he clatters over the sausage curbs here. Watch this, Joe, as they go down into Tamburello.
It's going to outbreak. I'm not sure who that is he's battling with, but looks like Mukanos.
Yeah, it was. It was Mukanos and Boafia. That just got them all messed up. Yeah, that got them all messed up there, and Ove loses several spots there.
Including Milan Arnozzi, who's now back up to 7th. Kiridine Boafia, and all that craziness, is in 5th now. He's about 14 seconds off the next car, so he's got a long gap to get to Riley Thompson, who is still vying for the lead between himself, Hall, Lake, and Rolla. Might be hard for him, though, because Rolla seems to have pulled a 2-second gap over Lake now.
Well, and they're dealing with a lot of traffic coming through right now, Joe, to be honest with you. Rob Olenek just going through, and Houghton, Fabian Gerber, all getting through this right now. In fact, Gerber rocking up here on the back of Villirola, our GTO leader.
Did just have some contact? I saw an off-track for him. This was coming out of Ravata. He's right now in a battle, I think, with Malone. Oh, he got a shove. And that was Malone. Let's see from Malone's view. Now, Malone is a little bit blameless in this, I think. You're going to see Jungluth get sketchy off of Ravata here, Sean, and it looks like he's trying to gather it together when they made that contact.
Yeah, it certainly does. Man, just gets right up under there like a shovel almost, Joe. Lifts that rear end. It's just so fortunate it didn't result in turning the car around.
I was just thinking that myself. Like, we saw the wheels from that onboard get completely off the ground.
They were off the ground for sure. They were just spinning free.
So this battle continues down in the midst of the GTP class. 37 cars started this race, and incredibly, we still have 35 of them going, despite all the action that's happening out there. Bluth is fighting to keep 12th away from Matt Malone, while at the same time seeing if he can do anything with James King, and he can, because King spins it completely around. case of turbo lag really biting these drivers.
I would agree there. Yeah, definitely. We're right on board with King here. Boy, turbo lag or the Easter basket grass there, Joe. Combination of both, maybe even. Not a good place to have a tire spin on you.
Yeah, and he looked so smooth through the chicane. It was after he had gotten down, so that is almost telltale turbo lag in the case of poor James King, who was able to continue, but now in 15th, having lost multiple positions due to his incident. That's John Keefe, you can see, and the red and white machine just ahead of him.
Joe, I don't want to overstate this. I know we've talked about him a lot, but Caradine Bawafia was a full 2 seconds faster than Riley Thompson last time. That gap is now about 12.5 seconds, Joe. Now, wow. Caradine even dealing with traffic right now, a lot of it coming through, and he's still turning hot laps. Tobias Gerber on his tail getting by, and so does, let's see, that was Jungbluth.
It's a log jam here.
Hornet's nest.
Yeah, that was Gerber first in the brown car who managed to get through. Now Jungbluth is by, Malone is by, and then finally Bawafia is able to be overtaken by Michael Thomas. But all that action has put Caradine under threat from Mukanos, still trailing him, and Mukanos is looking back and forth, trying to see if he can maybe get an opportunity down into Ravazza, but it's not to be. He'll have to wait a couple more apexes. Maybe on the pit straight he can have another go.
Boy, and look how quickly Caradine gets through there, Joe, through Ravazza 1 and Ravazza 2. Wow. Action up there in the Nissans, Joe.
Yep, as we watch now the battle between Fabian Gerber and Michael Houghton. They come out of Puritella down towards Aqua Minerale, and Houghton mostly just putting the pressure on, not making attacks right now, but making sure that he keeps Gerber sweating. Through Alta they go, both of them threading the needle through there, and out once again. And understand something happened to Michael Thomas. Checking to see what exactly went down. Well, he lost a lot of spots. This was in Tamburello.
Yeah, I didn't catch it, Joe. Let's see here.
Looks like the rear of the car just gets loose as it pendulums back and forth. You're going to see he's still on this train of cars in the mid-pack. And he could have an opportunity to catch up, but overdrives it just slightly. And as he tries to catch the car, it gets away from him, and everybody streams by. He's not able to return until he's down in 15th place. So there you see Michael Thomas, the number 22. A little bit off track, but still going. Gonna have to shake some of that gravel out of his boots now. Fans of Carl Jansen and Ardo Iamaki, well, that battle has separated. It's not hugely far apart. It can still shrink very quickly as it's only 1.5 seconds. We've seen traffic diminish a much wider gap than that before, but Carl is breathing a little easier. Ardo, of course, we saw touch the wall slightly. We don't see damage, but that doesn't mean the car isn't damaged. It's looking very similar in the battle for the lead over in GTOs, as that is now nearly a second and a half between Raola and Lake. So that was Emerton that we just saw trying to get by. Might hold him up slightly. Nissan sometimes, we've seen, because of that, turbo lag can be slow off the quarter, but he's not going to hold up. Billy, the Finn, stays safe over Phil Lake.
Safe, but that gap is shortened up just a little bit, about 3/4 of a second. Lake getting a good run down here in a Ravazza.
Trying all he can See if he can challenge for a win. He's no longer challenged by Jamie Hall, who's dropped off him since he's overtaken him. Down the pit straight they go. They are coming up on lap traffic in the form of their own class. That's Franco Scurry up ahead that you see in the red and white GTO. Scurry is sporting a little bit of damage himself. No chance quite yet for Lake to get on the back of Hall, but it's got Martin Krajcik there in the green and white tic-tac machine. Is going to deny the apex of the first one. Ooh, that was a little costly on time.
Never want to scuff off speed, and well, it makes it really hard to compete. But Joe, guess what? Remember, we're running a 60-minute race today, and we still have 33 minutes to go. Plenty of time here to get something done.
Absolutely. We're watching the battle right now between Gerber, Malone, and Jungbluth, who have really accordioned together. Krajcik is for position up ahead of them. Obviously, they're having trouble with the traffic to try and stay ahead. Now up to our GTO leader. Don't want to mess this driver up. Bias Gerber and the brown machine. Ooh, not the best of exits, because look at Matt Malone. Is he going to poke his nose in? Is Gerber going to try and stay defensive? Yes, he is. Or is he maybe trying to get past Rolla? He poked his nose, but it certainly wasn't on as Rolla took the apex, and now he's going to get a much easier pass down the pit straight. Overtakes that lap traffic. Should be an easy 3-wide situation. Not often you say that. All that traffic, though, has allowed Malone and Tobias to start to pull away from poor Fabian Jungbluth, who got trapped in Tamburello. I think
got some pit stops.
Yeah, exactly. I just noticed it as well. John Keefe, the first of them, we believe, in for a scheduled stop.
Yeah, this makes sense right here, Joe.
Ooh, we got a close battle for 6th in the GTPs. This is Houghton and Olenek. They're actually side by side right now. They make contact. Off goes Olenek. Oh, disappointing to see. That almost looked a little bit like Houghton outbraked himself a little bit, was trying to turn in, and Olenek thought he was going to turn in, but he didn't.
And that brings Olenek straight to the pit, Joe.
That makes sense to me. Let's watch from Houghton's view. I've always found the downhill brake into Rabats would be really tricky no matter what car I drive at this track.
I was just about to say, no matter what, pick any car in the iRacing service, this is tough.
It's downhill, it's hard braking, and that means it's a little bit more tough to get the car slowed up as much as you want to, especially if you're braking late trying to defend. I don't think it was, obviously, with malice from Houghton, but not ideal for both him and Olenek. Olenek back out, getting a little bit of that damage repaired. Left side looks better now.
Joe, I'm going to be honest. I'm monitoring what's going on with the top 3, and the GTOs have broken away. Riley Thompson is a man without any help right now. He's got no real draft to work off of. Just under 2 seconds behind Jamie Hall. The problem with this is that Carradine is catching him, and he's catching him quick, man. Carradine now just under 11 seconds. That gap, it's going to really, I think it's going to come down to making a free pit stop for Riley Thompson today, if he's got any chance of holding Carradine off over the next 29 and a half minutes.
Ardo Yamaki, one of our former leaders in this race, has hit the pit stall. So wonder if he is looking to try and jump Jansen, maybe by getting some clean air. If you can't do it on track, do it in the pits. He is still got a little bit of damage, it looks like, and I don't think that was from when he touched the wall. Gets it repaired. They do not have a spare car, so that actually does cost you time in the pits getting that repaired. He's down and out now as he cruises to the cones that allow him to get back up to speed. Martin Krejcik comes in from the mid-pack to take his scheduled stop. So if you're Janssen, Sean, do you respond? He looks like he's in clean air right now.
Wow. Carl Janssen, no, I think he's going to keep throttling it for just as long as he can, Joe. And I think as long as he's alone, he knows he can be faster than anybody else in the field here. As long as the track stays open, I think it is wise for him to stay out, to be honest.
Well, we'll find out here in a moment. He's out of Rivazza. He stays out. So yes, indeed, even though he's got a little bit of traffic up ahead, he's had at least 3/4 of a lap where he has no one to fight with. In fact, there's fighting going on up ahead of him. Arnozzi and Mucano side by side heading into Tamburello, Sean.
Yes, sir. Big fight indeed. Arnozzi, man, he has been busy since the drop of the green flag, and he is draped all over Mucano's bumper at the moment. Try and get it sorted out here in Villeneuve. Watch out for Ove Trengerade just behind him.
Yeah, Trengerade trying to make a recovery drive, and of course also the overall leader, Carl Janssen, going a long way around to Tosa.
Yeah.
And then duck into the inside of Arnozzi up to Piratella. That's 2 of them done. Just 1 more to go, and then he'll get a little bit more free time.
Well, Janssen had gotten bottled up there a little bit, but he has managed to clear it now. And that'll give Arnozzi a chance to get back to work here. Oh, and Mucanos makes a mistake. I spoke too soon.
Outbraked himself up into, or down into Aqua Minerale. And miraculously, I don't think he got a slowdown because it looks like he's not pulling over. He's staying with this guy.
He just barely avoided it, Joe. It's so easy to pick one up down there in Aqua Minerale.
So he only loses 1 position.
Oh boy, watch
now
out.
he loses 2. Under braking down into Rivazza. He looked so steady, and then the next thing I knew,
the rear end, it snapped on him big time, Joe. Weren't we just talking about that? Maybe a lap ago, 2 laps ago? It just I locked up on him.
Yeah, this is very different, though. It's in the other case, it was understeer. This one, that's a handful of oversteer instead. Before he even hit the corner. Meanwhile, Riley Thompson, who you thought didn't really have anything to go on, well, he's decided to change that himself. Look at this. Half a second between himself and Jamie Hall. Now, Kiradine is still gaining. He's 9.5 seconds back.
Yeah. And a fight could be just what Kiradine needs.
Yeah, absolutely. So Thompson really won't want to sit around and try and fool around with Hall too much. He's got to make quick work of him if they're going to get into a battle. And let's stay with this, but I want to say that Iamaki, when he returned to the track, he's down in 7th in his class. He's not close to a car that is yet to pit at the moment. That could change as he's gaining on Lewis Emerton. But right now he's got a little bit of free track. And meanwhile, Vili Ruola, our leader in the GTOs, has come in. Well, past halfway at this point. Wonder how many more are going to follow suit, seeing the fastest of their class come in.
Such a long pit road and such a long stop for the Audi. Really makes hitting your marks a premium. About 16.5 seconds in the box there for Vili Ruola. He is away.
So we're looking at our current leader, who has not pitted yet, Phil Lake. And on the front of his car, that doesn't look like how it was designed. So I'm not sure if that's damage from curbs or if he got into somebody at some point.
Boy, Joe, it certainly does look like he might have maybe laid the bumper to somebody. But you know what? I from experience of driving this car around here, a curb shot, a pretty good one, can yield left or right front damage. And, you know, obviously there's opportunities to do it from both sides on this track. So very well could be. I don't remember him actually getting into the back of anybody, but we may have missed it.
What we're not missing is the action between Emerton and Iamaki now that he's caught him. And again, though this is for position on track, Iamaki has pitted and Emerton has not. He really probably wants Luis to come in this next time by so that he's not held up and so that he doesn't have to risk the car trying to overtake him.
Hauls in. Thompson right behind him, stays out, Joe.
Interesting variety in the strategy because Lake has not come in yet and Thompson have not come in yet. Those were the two battling equally, respectively, with Jamie Hall and Villy Rolla. Train Grade also comes in, and Lepisto. Boy, what? This is probably the most anonymous race we've ever had with Antti Lepisto. Usually he is fighting for wins and up towards the front, but I can't recall a single time we've called his name other than the grid. That's Jansen, our current leader in the GTP class, still yet to take his stop. Imaki still our highest bidder. Lepisto will return in 7th place. Curious how far these cars can go as well. Usually about 50 minutes from what I understand is their limit. Do Matt Malone have an issue?
I think he's in the pits, Joe.
He's
something.
Part of him is in the pits.
Yeah. Trying to pick it up. I'm not exactly sure what happened, Joe.
It was quite a while
maybe I found
ago.
it. I think I found it. Yeah, it happened a while ago. And he made contact with the rear end of Kirill Kolobuzov, who we've not talked about at all. And he hit Kirill pretty hard, knocked the whole front end off. Now he's back underway.
Yeah, Kirill's actually lucky that he's able to keep going. Didn't get spun around because that was a hard shot. In fact, I think the worst damage went to Matt as we look at Kirill now. And the rear of that car isn't too bad. Phil Lake is in now. Again, this is the battle for the lead. Where is Rolla? Rolla's just coming down to Ravazza. Phil Lake heading slowly for the cones. So, as Lake tries to get his way there they are just ahead of him. Now he can accelerate away. Rolla's at full speed. This is actually going to be slightly close, I think. No, Lake's got him. Wow. As the timing works its way to what it should be. Is that a 2-second gap? My goodness.
Yeah, it is, Joe. 2 seconds.
Unusual.
Their pit stop separated by a second. That's it.
So there's that, at least, to explain that bit. But I'm guessing the rest is probably traffic. That is, it didn't seem like Lake was outpacing Rolla by that much earlier before the stops. Very bizarre. We'll have to ask them about that later. We can report that Matt Malone, who did come in, stopped very, very short. I'm not sure. Let's see, Fabian Jungbluth was about the same amount of time. Most everybody else is about 5 seconds longer than those two. So, curious times down in the Imola pits. Still waiting for the rest of our field to come in. Only about half of our GTPs have pitted. Same with the GTOs. 20 minutes left to go. This is our leader, Riley Thompson. A good ways ahead of Buafia, but now it's only 7.3 seconds. He's been chipping away, Sean, but I keep wondering, Is this fast enough is the question.
I compare this, you said chip away, I compare this to the old chip away baseball theory where basically you just, you get a little bit every inning here, and that's exactly what Caradine is doing. He's every lap around, he's taking a little bit bigger swing and taking a bigger chunk out of it. Now it's in the 6-second range. These two still have pit stops to sort out, but I got to tell you, man, Riley, if he's ever needed to be on point today with a pit stop, and of course you don't get a lot of experience with that in this car, in this series, it's today, man. Riley is going to have to be very, very sharp here.
One of our top runners in the GTP class, Justin Albrecht, has hit the pit lane. Ardu Iamaki and Antti Lepisto, Ardu Iamaki, who is one of the two ahead of him, has pit. Carl Jansen has not. So we want to watch where Iamaki winds up in terms of Albrecht. There you see the Finn chasing the Ohio driver. Albrecht still stationary, and Iamaki is on the pit straight now. It's a long ways down to those cones after you exit your pit stall. Iamaki going to be clearly through. And Riley's in.
Yes, he is, Joe. Riley's in. Boafia, Arnozzi decide to stay out. They move up to first and second. Riley is down and away.
I know this is by pit strategy for now for Caradine, but remember, started last on the field and now leading his class. What a drive by this guy.
I'm not speechless at this point. I still have plenty to say, but it's been impressive, Joe. It really has. Today he has really kept this thing together, drove hard and managed to stay out of trouble. Remember that replay from earlier? How lucky he was to get through that incident?
Yeah.
And I'm seeing, honestly, I'm seeing the same type of damage on the front end of his car that we were looking at on Phil Lake's car just a little while ago. I think those are exactly what we talked about, the curb shots that you take as a nature of getting around this track.
Well, what is happening on pit entry there? That's the number 30.
Carlos Fonseca with big trouble getting in there. Oh no, we got a log jam. He's got a car behind him. Is that Cedric Poyle? I think it's Cedric Poyle right behind him. Oh no. Frustration
for Cedric, I'm sure. All right, so what did the Hoosier do to cause this one? So comes into the pits, maybe just lost it under braking. Oh, yeah, man.
Good job of getting the car stopped right there by Poyle, but what's he going to do, right? He's back up a little bit, give him some room. Come on, get moving. Let's go, let's go, let's go.
Austin Powers would be proud. And that will cost both of them multiple positions.
Okay, now we got a bunch of Audis in the pits. Boafia is just now pulling away. Arnozzi's in, Mukanos is in, Giorgio Buscemi is in.
This is going to slot things back into the order how they should be. So Lake is back to the lead. Ola's back into second. Hall is in third. Thompson does return in fourth. Boafia, though, has now cut it down to 5 seconds. Carl Jansen is in. Our leader in the GTPs. He's been fighting with Iamaki, who's heading through Alta right now. Has Iamaki done it enough? Down towards Ravazza he goes. Hansen still in his pit stall. 3 seconds faster, though, than Iamaki. Jansen already heading towards the exit cones. Iamaki is on the front straight now. He's got speed up. Jansen past the cones. He's starting to pick up speed. Where is Iamaki? I don't think he's close enough. Jansen gets to the first chicane. He retains his lead. Still waiting on Michael Houghton to come in. So you'll see Jansen scored in second, Iamaki third, but that will change soon. So things are starting to sort themselves out. We'll give you an order once we get the last of our cars to pit. I mentioned Houghton has not yet. Tobias Gerber as well. James King, Clayton McLeod all need to come in. And then GTO's Kirill Kolobuzov is the last driver needing to pit. No, I wonder, we talked about the repairs that Iamaki needed to take during his stop. I wonder if that accounts for those 3 seconds more stationary to the number 6.
Joe, I think that makes the most sense. That's the most practical explanation for it. You know, I said this earlier. Sure, go ahead and catch Carl, but try and make a pass on him here in the closing laps of this race. Boy, good luck. I would say past history for me of watching races that Carl's been in, that's a near impossible task. He's that good when he has the lead.
We'll see if he can retain it then. We're still waiting on Houghton to come in. I thought for sure this would be the last lap. Meanwhile, Justin Albrecht, how about this? He just set the fastest lap of the race from what is currently 4th, but will be effectively 3rd.
Have we not talked about... Maybe we haven't talked about Albrecht enough. Maybe there's good reason. Maybe
we have in the past.
I know, and it's always resulted in maybe not good things happening. And I honestly, Joe, he's having a really great run.
Well, he's taken wins already, so this podium will be a feel-good, but not necessarily the greatest moment in his career. No one's going to turn down a top 3, I'm sure, as he comes up behind the car of Andreas Albertinelli and gets by nice and easily into Aqua Minerale. Down to 12 minutes to go. Michael, you only have so much gas in the tank here, bud.
He's in.
Now he comes in. Everything's bigger in Texas, including the gas tanks, Sean?
Yeah. Or the rubber tube you might have in a roll bar somewhere or something like that. Yeah, maybe.
All right, whatever the case, he's finally come in. So that's going to hand the lead over to Jansen. 2nd back to Iamaki. And 3rd back to Albrecht. But was he fighting with Lepisto? Houghton's in his stall. Lepisto's going to get him easily. I think it's Fabian Gerber, the one he is going to worry about. It's out and going, but Fabian is easily by. His brother is in the pits behind him. And this is a scheduled stop for Tobias.
Yep, and we're there. Boy, Arnozzi just got the move made on opening trend grade in and around a lot of traffic. Of course, one of those cars being Carl Jansen. And John Keefe getting held up there a little bit by Arnozzi. Finally gets by.
Yeah, that is the way that the game is played here in Kamel GT. You have to use that traffic to your advantage when you see an opportunity. There we saw the replay of it. We only have one car left that is yet to pit now. Out of everybody, that is James King.
Yeah, I want to know where he's stashing the fuel. Jeez.
Yeah, good question.
With 10 minutes left, he's still running.
We need to go to Reed Miller and Thomas Delmuth. I think that was for position. Oh, is it still Delmuth trying to recover? They had a 3-wide moment because they had the car of Tobias Gerber coming out of the pits. But another problem as Reed Miller goes by Cedric Coyle now. And I think they've got it sorted out. Let's get a replay of that pit exit, though. It was on the... this battle's still going on. Oh, sorry, we're going to the replay. Watch this. This is always one of the dangers of this pit exit.
3 wide, baby. Wow.
Keep your eyes peeled. Wow, great heads up by everybody to see that happening. Could have so easily gone off to the side of the track and run into that Nissan. So your order between them now is Miller's got 13th, Coyle 14th, Delmuth down to 15th. Oh, no. Kiradine Boafia just had it off in one of the worst places you could have it. He cut the course at Alta. All that time that he gained, Sean, he just lost a big old chunk of it.
He did lose a chunk of it, Joe, but you know what? Raleigh Thompson's still got to take care of business up there. I just don't. I think, though, with that mistake, I thought there might be a chance for him to podium. I think with that mistake, that might put that chance out of sight now. Jamie Hall about 6.5 seconds ahead of him.
Yeah, with about 4 seconds between Thompson and Boafia. So certainly not out of a realistic scenario for him to catch up to Riley. Oh, and Malone in for a second time. Boy, he's going to run out of clips.
No, he didn't get the clip replaced last time, Joe. He's been riding around without that thing. He seems to be in good spirits, though, Joe. I can confirm that. I see him laughing and chuckling on his stream right now. So,
okay,
yeah.
Maybe just didn't anticipate the right amount of fuel. You said that you don't get a lot of experience in these cars to take pit stops, so maybe he just underestimated.
I think he's reaching for a sandwich now as he comes out of the pits there.
Hope it's an Italian sub.
Ah, you went there.
It'd be appropriate.
I hope it has Capicola on it. So
all right, so let's go through our top 5 in each of the classes. Carl Jansen is leading our prototype field, and by a nice little gap, Ardo Iamaki 3 seconds behind. We suspect maybe a little bit of damage that he got somewhere in the race cost him in the pit stops and set him backwards. In fact, he might have to worry because with the traffic costing him time.
Joe, I'm sorry. Hang on. Villarola is out of this race. He's out of the race.
How did that happen?
I don't know. Something has happened. He's disconnected and he's left the race. Phil Lake takes over the lead now.
Trying to see if I can find it. I think it happened within this lap.
I'm trying to figure out.
He pulled over.
No, he pulled over and left. I think life happens and he's gone.
Oh, that is disappointing. Even if he couldn't have won it, a second place would have been worth it. Well, you know what that means. Kiradine Boafia is looking at a podium, but we'll get to him in a second. We'll go back to our rundown. And apparently Matt Malone had an unfortunate incident on his pit in. Let's take a look and see what happened here.
Okay, so this was the pit stop from just before.
Oh, he was boxed in. He had to stay off to the right, it looks like, with the Audi there. I wonder if they made contact. Ooh! Who that was, he just slipped through, but that was some nice little heads-up driving. All right, so scary times for Matt Malone. All right, we got a lot going on. We'll try and get through our top 5 here. I believe we're on Albrecht, 3rd place in the prototypes. And while he was gaining on Iamaki, looks like that traffic has dissipated and he's lost ground now. Behind him, Antilopisto giving chase. The Finn usually has an answer for Albrecht, but today he's going to have to work hard here in the dying moments. He's still got a chance. The top 5 rounded out by a car that probably doesn't have a chance. Baby and Gerber, 11, almost 12 seconds back to Lepisto. Let's go to the top 5 in the GTOs.
All right, Joe. Phil, in and around the lake, our championship leader right now. Well, he's got right now a great chance to win this race. 8 seconds ahead, almost 9 seconds ahead of his teammate, Jamie Hall. Sitting back there in second, might not be second for long because guess who has found some speed all of a sudden? Riley Thompson. And he is all over the back of Jamie Hall just now. Caught up to him here. This is going to be a race. Then we go back to 4th place. It's going to be Kiradine Boafia holding on to that spot now, Joe. And I don't think he's got enough here in the closing laps of this race to get there. Top 5 going to be rounded out by Milan Arnozzi, who has had a very, very interesting day, to say the least. Been involved in a couple of incidents, has raced hard throughout, and right now it's paying off for a top 5.
And we just missed during that rundown that Lepisto has managed to get onto the podium. We got it on replay here. Poor Justin Albrecht, after all the hard work and good racing he did, it was one little mistake that offered it up on a silver platter into Villeneuve. Dealing with a little bit of traffic. That's Boafia ahead of him in the yellow and black machine. You can see the turbo lag, just a little bit too much to handle off track. Lepisto very easily gets ahead. Now, he's got to hold on to it, though, because Justin's still behind him if we come back live and take a look at them. And again, this is the battle to settle the podium. Look at all the traffic ahead of them, though. This could shake things up quite well and offer a great chance for Albrecht. In fact, that is Riley Thompson and Jamie Hall just ahead of him. So this is a battle for position. Lepisto gets one. That's going to split them momentarily. They've also got lap traffic of their own class. James King just ahead. Look at how confident they have to be on the brakes. And still Lepisto managing to put the car of Jamie Hall between them just to ensure some safety net. Continuing on, now down to 2.5 minutes to go. We thought that Boafia had Thompson within his sights, but Thompson has responded, and it is still 5 seconds between himself and Kiradine.
Yeah, it is. Thompson not even worried about that at this point. He's trying to catch Jamie Hall. I don't know if it's going to happen. They're going to be 2 to go here at the line, so I don't know. Well, we'll see. Riley's going to have to make something happen here.
They're running out of chances. But we've seen Riley Thompson do great things in this Audi. Looking at a podium, looking at potentially second place. Phil Lake may have streaked away, but that doesn't mean that the number 13 has to give up on getting more spots. Not missing anything up in the GTPs. Those battles have separated, including the one we were watching between Lepisto and Albrecht. Into Tamburello. Thompson still trailing. Jamie Hall in the number 10 coming up to Villeneuve, trying to hold his composure, trying to make sure he just gets calmly to the finish, dealing with any lap traffic as it may come. Their way now through Tosa, out of the hairpin, trying to power their way up the hill. Meanwhile, Carl Janssen is getting ready to take the white flag in about half a lap's time. We'll go back to Janssen when that gets closer to the checkered flag, with him not being very close as we
Joe, Riley's got him here, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was keeping half an eye on that as well. He's closing in, that gap getting smaller and smaller. All he needs is one mistake. Potentially all he needs is a good run out of Ravazza. We've seen these cars give a huge draft, and I wonder if he's just setting himself up now.
Gonna be the final lap when they get to the line, Joe. It's now or never, buddy.
Indeed, that white flag is waving as we take a look at... oh, is this the lead? What happened here? Carl could either be fuel saving, maybe he ran into some traffic, but that gap came down in a hurry.
Oh no! Oh no! Big mistake by Riley Thompson.
But sorry, he saves it. But he saves it. We saw it live on screen. How did he gather that car together? We'll come back to that after the race. Holy cow. He's all over the place. We look now at Janssen, still leading Iamaki. We thought that this was Carl Janssen's to lose. Ducking off the track, that's Martin Krejcik trying to get out of the way of this battle for the lead. Checkered flag is waiting. Next time they come to the line. Is this fuel saving? What has cost Carl Janssen? He takes a lot of curb on the entry into the Alta chicane, but he's able to come out the other side. Iamaki pushing in the number 6, seeing if he can overcome the Scandinavian. Out of Ravazza. All he has to do is get the power down. Carl Jansen managed to get into the lead, and I think this one is going to be Carl's. Give the win to the number 1 car. Meanwhile, third place in that class, also very close. Lepisto just ahead of Albrecht across the line. And Phil Lake into Ravazza right now. He's going to have a little traffic battling behind him, but shouldn't interrupt. Phil in and around the Lake is going to be in and around the top of the podium and takes the win for the GTO cars.
And his teammate's going to finish right behind him, Joe, there in second. Jamie Hall, Raleigh Thompson going to take that third spot. And a great run by Caradine Bouafia from all the way in the back of the field. He's dead last, Joe. Dead last in this field. Finishes top 5 in P4.
Yeah, can't be too disappointed with that. See if there's any other battles going on in the field, and I don't think we have it. I think they've all finished. Let's take a look at that save with Thompson. That was one of the biggest slides we've ever seen, actually, in a race in these cars.
And he's just going to get a little bit too far out to the right. He drops a couple wheels off in the grass when he made that move.
Wow.
Amazing. Tokyo Drift, baby.
And in most cases, you see drivers frantically sawing at the wheel on those. No, he was just holding it sideways, steady as you like. My goodness, what a talented young driver.
I think he had them elbows out, baby. I think Kenny Wallace would be proud of that move.
Well, he's going to get a chance to breathe because we're going to take a quick break here on the Global Sim Racing channel. We'll come back with the official results as well as driver interviews. Stick around because we have all the upcoming races ready to show on your screen here on the GSRC. Welcome back to Imola. Wow, what a race for being an endurance round. We certainly saw lots of fun out there on track. And of course, Carl Janssen probably having the most of them, winning it here today as he returns to the Kamel GT series, starting from the front row. Iamaki might be a little bit disappointed. He was on pole and he has to go into second at the checkered flag. Antti Lepisto climbing up towards the end of the race, managing to get himself into third with a little bit of a mistake from the number 15 of Justin Albrecht. Still well-earned fourth place for him. Fabian Gerber takes the top 5 with Michael Houghton finishing in 6th position. Rob Olenek got tipped by Michael early in the race, but they've already apologized afterwards. Michael giving him a big sorry post-race. These guys, very close-knit group. So Rob in 7th. Lewis Emerton finishing in 8th. How about a climb of this magnitude? From 12th to 9th for Fabian Unglub. Nice job to him, with Tobias Gerber finishing within the top 10. Martin Krejcik gets an 11th, the first car lap down. Pablo Suarez finishes 12th, and James King 13th. Clayton McLeod, didn't really see much of him today, but he gets a 14th. Hideki Koivisto 15th, and John Keefe 16th. Matt Malone, the last of our GTP class to finish 17th. Sean, there were very few retirements today.
Yeah, very few, and that's a great thing when you can have this many cars start and get away without that. So, Phil, in and around the lake, our championship points leader, well, he's going to hold on to that because he won today. Jamie Hall, his teammate, is going to finish right behind him, and that's not bad for those two. Riley Thompson holds on. What a great run for him today. He'll finish on the podium there in third. Well, we talked about it enough, I guess. Everybody knows who Caradine Bawafia is here at this point. He started last, folks. He finished 4th today. A great drive from him and a little bit of luck sprinkled in. The top 5 ran it out by Milan Arnozzi, who had a very interesting race, and congratulations to him. Ove Traingerade hangs on to finish 6th. Right there, Nick Bucanos behind him in 7th. Giorgio Boschimi, the highest finishing Italian in the race, will finish 8th. Franco Scardia is going to finish right behind him in 9th. And Dennis, the Anvil Neidhart, I'm sorry, we didn't talk about you more there, buddy. He finishes 10th. Good for him. A nice top 10 run. He picks up positions. Kirill Kolobuzov will finish 11th today, right in front of the Canadian Reed Miller. He's had a busy, busy day so far. He'll finish 12th. Carlos Fonseca, a 13th place run for him today. Cedric Poyle, he was competitive all day. Let's say that, Joe. He finishes 14th. Thomas Delmuth with a 16th place run. Andrea Albertinelli has hard trouble early in this race. A 16th place finish for him. And then we go down to Ville Ruola. We're not sure exactly what happened with Billy. He, of course, had a monster run going today. Had a top 3 for sure. He'll wind up 17th. 18th, the Matthew Jette. And let's see. And then 18th in class, 36 overall for Michael Thomas, the Frenchman. And then Fabrizio Raffa, Italian, and unfortunately last in this field today, 37th overall, 19th in the Audi GTO class, Joe. Now it's time to talk to some of these drivers.
Yep, and first we're going to talk to Carl Janssen, who didn't start at the top spot, but he finished at the top spot. Carl, that looked a masterful race out there. You looked incredibly patient following behind Arto.
Yeah, it was a long race, and yeah, I haven't raced in a long while in these cars either, so to see where I was quicker and slower, and then from there on make the pass. Now the pass was a bit of a mistake, so yeah, you know, it happens with the turbo lag in the AstroTurf. It's so slippery, so yeah. But other than that, it's just a good run.
Yeah, you said you haven't driven these cars in a while. We haven't seen you in a while. So is it difficult to try to get back into these cars because they're so unique here on iRacing? How much practice did you have to do before this?
I did maybe an hour or an hour and a half, not much more than that. It's, I don't know, once you've driven them like quite a lot before, you always have the turbo thinking in your mind when you jump into them. So yeah,
like driving a turbo powered bicycle, you don't forget, I guess. As you certainly seemed, I wouldn't say dominant today, because you had a little bit of a threat at the end. How did Ardo catch you? Did you make a mistake, or were you fuel saving? What cut the gap down at the very end?
I don't know. Apparently, you could change tires and fuel at the same time, and I didn't know that, so I just took fuel. So tires were a little bit bad at the end.
Ah, so that made the difference. Well, congratulations on managing to hold him off. You come away with the win. We hope to see you back here more.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
That was Carl Jansen, our winner here today, who has driven here a lot before, but glad to see him back and hope to see a lot of him. Well, let's go over to a driver we do see a lot of. Phil, in and around the lake, is in and around the podium with Sean.
Phil, I really hope you don't ever get tired of that nickname that I kind of saddled you with some time ago, man. I'm, you know, I remember being just ecstatic the first time you acknowledged that you actually got that. So a lot of people probably wonder, what is that all about? But you know what? I'm not wondering about anything at this point. You've had an amazing season, and coming down the stretch here, you get a big win at Imola today. How much work was that for you?
That was a lot of work. I off-tracked my first quali lap, so then I had that horrible situation where you need to push, but you don't want to push too hard in case you get another off-track. And so I ended up 5th, and then I had to work my way up through the field, which is never easy with these guys. So yeah, it was a fun race, and then I had a bit of an issue at the end with my shifter. Wouldn't go into 3rd consistently, so I was kind of avoiding 3rd, which obviously slowed me down a bit, but it was safer than blowing the thing up with a couple laps left. Yeah,
and okay, so something we noticed, I want to ask you about this because we noticed it on a couple of cars, including yours. The curb shots, they yield a little bit of damage, don't they, when you hit those sausage curbs?
Yeah. You want to get as close as you can to them without actually hitting them. And the only place that we really jump over them is that the chicane just before the end of the lap. I'm not sure what it's called, but we really just kind of drive straight over the top of the curbs there. So I'm sure we get a little bit of damage.
Yeah, that's back there in Alta. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Listen, it was at times a crazy race, but for you, I don't know. What's it like? Let me ask you, because we don't have a whole lot of these 60-minute races. What is it like when you have to mix in the pit stop?
The pit stop makes it a lot of fun for me. I think it's just an extra element of an extra thing to think about. You've got to get your pit entry right, your fuel right, and there's a little bit of working out where you're going to be when you come out of the pits. So you don't want to kind of be passed by the Nissans and then have all the Nissans pit and then pass you again, because it'll just cost you loads of time. So you're kind of trying to guess what everyone else is going to do as well, which is fun.
Well, there won't be a lot of guesswork left in the championship if you keep having races like this. Now just a couple to go. Congratulations on a big win. We look forward to seeing you again next week, my friend.
Yeah, thanks, guys. See you next week.
Sounds good. That is Phil in and around the lake, Joe, and I think you've caught up another one of our another one of our very, very fast Nissan pilots.
Fabian Gerber, but only fast enough for 5th today. He was a little down the order. Fabian, you were one of the drivers on lap 30 who, or excuse me, not on lap 30, lap 10, who found himself in the midst of a lot of action as Audis were flying across you.
Oh yes, but I don't really remember that there was so much going on, and I'm pretty exhausted, to be honest. I have to look in the replays, whatever happened there.
Yeah, it was the one where I believe it was Andrea Albertinetti unfortunately got tipped. But there was a lot of talent that came in here today. Jansen came back in. Obviously, that made it more difficult. And you find yourself only in 5th. Were you surprised that you were only that high?
In the practices, it looked pretty good from my speed. I didn't expect to be this low, but I think I made a big mistake by my setup. I was going for low wing, like in Sebring, which worked very well there, and it was just too hot for the set. I was just sliding around in traffic. Didn't find any grip any time, the only good laps were right after the pit stop. I even did the fastest lap of the race there. It was the only time the car really worked. Otherwise, it didn't. So I think it's more down to the setup that I didn't perform well today.
Well, in a week's time, we're going to be heading south to a track that probably will need a little bit of setup tweaking because it's such a mix of slow corners and high-speed straights. Interlagos. How do you feel going into that one? Do you think you feel confident that you could get the setup worked out for there?
I don't know. It's been a while since I've driven there, and never with the Nissan, of course. And I will have to see. I'm really not sure. This track is difficult, and but it's fun. So I look forward to it, and I hope to do a bit better. I mean, top 5 isn't that bad, not at all. But I should be in front of Antti and Arto to win the championship. So I have to get a bit faster next week.
Yeah, definitely. Always helps to beat your rivals. Well, again, congratulations at least on a top 5, and hopefully you'll have more fun with a lot more compliant curbs next week at Interlagos. Thanks for talking to us.
Thank you very much. Bye, guys.
Fabian Gerber, racing in the prototypes today. One last one. We have a GTO driver who seems to have had a pretty good race out there. Riley Thompson with Sean.
All right. First thing I want to ask Riley is, hey, Riley, if I decide to come to the spring race at Talladega, will you join me? Will you be my guest on the Boulevard?
I could try, yeah.
Okay. All right. We may have to keep that option open. Buddy, congratulations on a great race. You had Bawafia closing on you there late in the race. You know, we started at the back of the pack. What kind of pressure? Was there any added pressure there, especially as you were trying to hunt down Jamie Hall?
I think there was a little bit of pressure, but by the time he was getting close to me, it felt like the race was already coming to a close. So I was mainly just focusing on Jamie by the.
Yeah, and boy, what a great race! 60 minutes. So how does that change your preparation coming into a 60-minute race as opposed to the normal 40, 45 minutes we do?
I feel like you may have to. I was kind of worrying a little bit more about tires, because with how the strategies are on the GTOs, sometimes you can take tires, sometimes you can't in these 60-minute races. So mainly you just have to worry about whether you want to take tires, and then just worrying about how much fuel you should take throughout the race.
Okay, so you took me to my next question, talking about the tires. Brother, you had one hell of a save there at the end. Talk us through that. What'd that feel like?
I was mainly just mad at myself because I feel like I might have had Jamie right there. Could have gotten him around the outside, but just the classic Audi understeer got me and sent it.
Do you develop, running this car, do you develop some drifting skills?
Probably, yeah. I mean, after every race, there's Jamie and Phil at least that are basically drifting at every corner. So I think it definitely developed some.
Well, listen, you're having a great season. A couple of races left to go. You got to finish strong, don't you?
Yes, sir.
All right, man. Well, listen, go celebrate this one. A top 3 is probably going to maybe give you a little bit of help in the points. We look forward to seeing you again next week, buddy.
Will do. Thanks, guys.
All right, Joe. That's Riley Thompson. Again, a podium for him and another good shot in the arm for the points here going down the stretch.
Yep, just 2 rounds left to go for our drivers. The championship could be wrapping up. It could change hands. Who knows? However, we are going to wrap up here. Thank you to the Kamel GT community, of course, as always, for bringing us back for any other season of coverage. We're already talking to them about next season, too. We're looking forward to that. And there you see at the bottom of the screen, if you want more iRacing action, Sean, there's a big red button what does it say?
Subscribe.
That's right.
Yes.
So make sure and do that very thing. Subscribe to the iRacing Esports Network, because you'll see lots of awesome action, not just here with GSRC, but with our friends over at RaceSpot, LSR TV, and of course, SimSpeed TV and many others. But we want to thank the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. And additional thanks go to Eric Ekholm and June Lalonde, who provide our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of their great work. Thanks to the team today, Sean, Amjad, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. You can also check us out on social media on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. We also have our own YouTube page at the Global Sim Racing Channel. It is GSRC Broadcasting. We have a big red button there. Hit that one. Make sure and subscribe to us, and you won't miss a moment on the GSRC. Next race, as we mentioned, going down to South America to Interlagos. That'll be Saturday, November 24th at noon Eastern. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. However, until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.